Hi everyone, back to more YouTube channel. It's Chris back with a quick video all about Newcastle United's plans this summer and what we're going to do with the squad going into next season as well. Now, we thought we'd do a slightly different video to rumour has it videos where we talk about players being linked to the football club, because that requires spending money, and spending money may be very hard next season or going into the summer thanks to the Premier League's continuous bullshit ruling with FFP and PSR, where they've restricted other clubs from spending money in the market. It's all now down to your turnover figure. So likes of Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal, etc. can turn over way more turnover than Newcastle United thanks to their commercial deals, thanks to our old owner being a complete wanker and having shit commercial deals in place and the club having to build them back up. We won't be able to spend anywhere near the money that they will. So people are still saying that we may have to sell to buy. They talk about Isak, they talk about Bruno. Now, I don't think we have to do that. I'm going to tell you exactly why right now, because I think there's some young players who have came to the fore this season and probably going to save us a fortune in the transfer market if they keep progressing the way that they are. We've highlighted a few of them, so we're going to get stuck right into them in a minute. Just before we do, a little reminder, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button, come and join us. We're well over 7,200 subs now, so thank everybody who smashed that button recently. Loads of room for ever more. We're pushing hopefully to 8,000 subscribers very soon at this rate, and yeah, we're really happy to have everybody on board. So all free content. If you want to be a member, there is an option down there too, but smash whichever button suits you best. So let's get stuck in then. Who am I talking about? Who are these players that could save Newcastle a fortune in the transfer market? I'm going to start with one in particular. He's very topical at the moment. He's been in the club for a long time, actually. He's nearly racked up 50 appearances and he's still only 21 years of age. That's right, I'm talking about this fella right here, the Geordie Maradona himself, Elliot Anderson. What a player this kid is looking like he's becoming for Newcastle United. Now, Elliot came through the ranks. He was always a kind of creative midfielder. He had goals in him, good from set pieces, those kind of things. And we always felt that Elliot could become that goal-scoring Steven Gerrard type, attacking midfielder that we all wanted in a Newcastle shirt. And then he's been hampered by injury, especially this season. This back break has been really poor for him. He was in the squad last season. Eddie didn't send him out on loan. He put in some really good performances. Very unlucky not to get his first goal for Newcastle against Nottingham Forest with that header. But he just looked better game after game after game. And the real rise of prominence for Elliot was when he went away to Bristol Rovers on loan. Now, whatever you think of Joey Barton as a man, and he's a bit of a maniac, isn't he, clearly, but he did a really good job with Elliot's development at Bristol Rovers. I always say he left a boy and he came back a man. He filled out in pre-season. He was absolutely sensational in the American pre-season tour as well, scoring goals against, I think it was Villa and against Brighton as well. And we all had high hopes for Elliot this season, thinking this could be his breakout season. We seem to say it every single summer. And he really looked like he was going to do something, and then injury struck. And obviously this really bad back injury's kept Elliot out for such a long time. But he's come back into this squad and he's almost seamlessly stepped in to this massive void that Joe Linton's left of this physical ball-winning midfielder. So gone is this player that we all thought was technically gifted and was going to be great from set pieces and had a goal in him arrive in the box and all that. He still has that in his locker, but he seems to have developed his game now to become this absolute smash mouth midfielder that he's flying into tackles against people he's got no right really to put on their arse, shoving the likes of Mikel Antonio over. He's like a fucking heavyweight boxer. And I'm so excited to see how Elliot Anderson's progressing in this midfield position that he's in right now. He was sensational at the weekend when we got the win against Spurs. The cover that he was given Dan Burn, he was almost looking like Joe Linton without being Brazilian and having a blonde hair dye, really, to be fair. So that's fantastic for Elliot Anderson, because he's such a versatile player as well. He can play in that front three position. He can play in midfield. Eddie Howe was asked about Elliot and said where is his favourite position, and he said, I don't really know, to be honest with you, so I'm trying to figure it out. But to have that quandary and that issue is fantastic for me. I think Elliot is progressing so well as a player. This physicality he's now bringing to his game. I don't think the goals are too far off from him. He was really unlucky against Spurs. He gets in great positions. He's still very technically gifted. I think once one goal goes in, there's going to be a few more goals that go in as well, which is absolutely class for me. So I'm really excited to see how Elliot can progress going into next season. Yes, I think the midfield three is probably going to be Sandro Tonali, Joe Linton and Bruno, if they all stay. We know that Joe Linton's going to be here for the long term now, and Tonali's obviously banned until mid-August, I think it is. So, Bruno's the question mark, but I think Elliot Anderson has forced his way into that squad, and I think he's going to be a vital part of that midfield kind of 5 or 6. Now, that could come at the cost of Sean Longstaff possibly, or even Joe Willock. He's had a terribly bad injury hit season as Joe Willock, and I don't know whether we'll get rid of Joe Willock. I think he's still a vital member of the squad, but the pressure could be on Sean with the development of Elliot Anderson, because he's given us that energy and those legs in midfield that Sean normally gives us. He's had an injury hit season himself. He's playing through injury, to be fair to Sean. He played much better at the weekend, but really excited to see how Elliot does. Let us know in the comments below, guys, what you think about Elliot Anderson's progression and what your hopes are for him. Now, moving on to player number 2 is a player I'm really excited about, and that's Miley. 17 years old this boy is. We have to keep reminding ourselves of how old he is. And I remember when he burst on the scene against Chelsea, using Micah Richards' term, and he hit that raker from 40 yards. They hit the bar. I always wonder if Miley Mania would have exploded a bit earlier, had that and went in the back of the net. It probably would have done, to be fair, but he looked class as well in that pre-season tour of America. The two best players, you know, were probably Miley and Elliot Anderson outside of Anthony Gordon in that pre-season tour. We were so excited about Louis and what he could do. You know, then we got caught up in the midfield trio of Tonali, Bruno and Joe Linton. We played Villa and we smashed them, and them three were great. And then the Tonali form dropped off a little bit. Then the suspension hit, and Miley came to the fore. And this kid is just ice cold, you know, in terms of his mentality. He's played away at PSG, he's played against Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, completely unfazed. 30 appearances, he's got 4 assists already, he's got himself a nice goal against Fulham, and he just looks better and better every single game that he's playing. He was starting to put tackles in as well just before his injury, ironically enough, another back injury. Might be these growing pains possibly for these younger players, certainly in Louis' case, but he just looks a really measured footballer. He's got such a calmness about him, almost Carrick-esque in terms of the way he uses the ball. The assists he's put through for Alexander Isak so far this season, I think this kid is a sensational footballer, and I don't think he's getting loaned out. A lot of people have talked about Miley being loaned out next season, but I think with the likes of Anderson and Miley, if we are going to get European football, which hopefully we are on the driving seat to get now, I think you need these two players, especially with them being homegrown as well. That's another asset to have. But Miley just seems to have so much to his game already at 17. If he goes away at pre-season and he works on his physique, he's still a growing boy. He's got to grow into his build. I remember when Ronaldo went away in pre-season and then he came back as a middleweight boxer from being a skinny little dweeb, wasn't he? Miley's already got the height and the technical ability. If he starts to get the building as well, he can just hold players off for fun. And I'm so excited about what this footballer can do for Newcastle United. I mean, you could loan him out because he's still a young man, but I think he's already proven that he can play Premier League level and he's not phased. He's played against some of the the so-called best midfielders in Europe, and he hasn't been phased at all, throwing tackles into killing Mbappe like he was playing five-a-side. He's had such an amazing rise this season, Miley, that I just think that there's no ceiling for the player. I think even alongside the likes of Elliot Anderson, I think Louis could probably be the better of the two. And that sounds mad at the minute because everyone's so obsessed with how good Anderson's doing. And he's doing so good. And Anderson's probably more mobile than Louis, which is probably the only thing that maybe holds him back. But I just think Miley's so technically gifted that his ability to use the ball and slow down the play like he does, his way of thinking, everyone's losing their heads around him, and Miley's the calmest man on the pitch at 17. It's such an asset to have for a talented player at such a young age that, for me, he could be our Phil Foden. I know that sounds a bit hyperbolic, but I just think that he's got that kind of maturity about him already at 17, and Eddie said that on numerous occasions, and I just think for me, Miley's going to hang around and be part of the squad, I think, in the summer and certainly for next season as well. And again, those two could save us about 80 million quid in the transfer market. That could Miley drop in and maybe become a deep line holding midfielder to win tackles and spray passes around? Can Elliot Anderson be that hybrid 8 that we're looking for? Who knows? That there's versatility between those two players. And in the midfield, we've really struggled for cover. But next season, if Joe Linton's not injured and Bruno's fit as all season and Tonali's not suspended, and then you've got the two Geordie boys as well, and you've got Longstaff and Willock, there's options there, and you may have to possibly sell some of those players to maybe get some more money and to invest in other areas, which again asks that question about Sean Longstaff possibly and Joe Willock. But we'll see what happens in the summer there. Me and Mark will definitely be covering all of that in the end of season review, no doubt about that. And the last player of these three I'm going to focus on is that exciting winger that we're all talking about. It's Yanuba Mina that we signed for 5 million quid. Now, we can't really tell what Dan Ashworth did at the club in terms of measurable improvements. If signing this kid is the one thing that he did do, he did it very well, because he has been fucking sensational for Feyenoord all season. He's got 9 goals. And I think he's got 10 assists or something daft like that. He's just been absolutely class this season. Pace, ability, can go inside, outside of his fullback, can cross the ball, can score goals. He's not scared of big occasions either. He got 2 goals and an assist against Ajax just the other weekend there as well. The lad looks fucking brilliant. He really, really does. Fast as out as well. And to me, that's the kind of player that we'll be bringing to the squad in summer. I think Miggy Almiron's time at the club could be coming to an end. I think between Almiron and Murphy, I think they'll keep Murphy because there's more versatility there with Murphy because he can fill in at fullback as well. I think Miggy's a spent force. He's 29 going on 30 now. And I think that Yanuba Mina will be Miggy Almiron's long-term replacement at the football club. And Miggy will be a player that we sell to get money back in to balance the books. I think they'll definitely bring in Minter in the summer to look at him in pre-season and see how he fits with the rest of his teammates, maybe play him in a couple of pre-season games against Premier League opposition, either in America or Australia. But I think the kid will stand out because he looks that good of a player, not fazed by the Eredivisie, not fazed by the Champions League. And I think this lad is going to be a top player for us. It'll give us fantastic cover on that right-hand side. If it's Anthony Gordon out right and Barnes out left, and maybe Minter can swap over and do either side. But it's going to give us great cover in those areas. And he's 19 years old. You can drip feed him into the squad. You know, he can be that kind of alternative, and then you can play him in cup games as well and rest the big names so we don't get burnout like we've had this season. But I'm really excited to see what Minter can do to come at the end of the season. So those 3 players in particular, I think, really exciting about them 3. I think they could save us a fortune in the transfer market. You can throw Lewis Hall in there as well, 19 years of age at left back, finally got his chance, looks composed, good on the ball, great left peg, sorted himself out defensively as well. I think Lewis Hall could really save us a fortune as well. I know he's already cost us 28 million quid, but still, for a player who could be a future England fullback, that is pocket change. Tino on the other side as well. There's some really exciting young talent at Newcastle United, and for me, if those players can fulfil their potential in the next 2 to 3 years, we could have saved well over 100+ million quid in the market on these players, and that'll be exciting to see. We've got the right manager to develop them as well, so hopefully these players all kick on another level in the next coming season, and we'll see some real performances from them. Let us know in the comments below what you think about those players, guys. Do you think they're well worth the chance? Do you think they could save us a fortune in the transfer market? Would you loan any of them out, or do you keep them in the squad? We always like to hear from you. Drop a like as well, help the channel grow. You can subscribe, be a subscriber, be a member. It's all free content, but if you want to give back to the channel, there is a member option there too. Keep it evermore, guys. We'll be back with some more content soon. Have a belter. We'll see you later. Cheers.